Good evening, everybody. My name is Pastor Gordon Anic, and I just want to thank you for watching our program. Last week, we have received a bunch of phone calls. I would say probably close to 100 phone calls in about half an hour. And I want to thank you for watching and calling for prayer and for the free books that we have been offering. Tonight, we are offering the incredible power of prayer. I am going to talk to you tonight about health and becoming healthier, achieving better levels of health, higher levels of health, higher quality of life. But I want to tell you all of the things that you can do physically, all of the things that you can do about your diet. They're all good, but if you don't have a good prayer life, if you don't have a relationship with God, then you are going to be missing something in your life. So tonight, if you want to call the number on the screen, you will receive the incredible power of prayer completely free of charge. All we are going to ask from you is your name and address, and we are going to send you the book. Also, you can call tonight the same number on the screen if you need somebody to pray for you. And I know that many people are calling all week long that same number, and they are asking either me or one of our pastors to talk to them and to pray for whatever their needs may be. And we just want to offer that service to you. We want to intercede with God on your part, on your behalf, and we want to hear your story, and we want to help you out if we can. So thank you again for watching the program tonight and every Sunday night. Tonight, I would like to talk to you about your health. If you were watching here last Sunday night, you would remember that I'm talking in this series about improving the quality of our lives. And one of the things that you can do yourself almost immediately is to improve your physical health simply by following some of the basic biblical principles that God had laid out for us. So tonight the title of the sermon is actually Heal Yourself. I believe that each person can do things in their own life to improve their health. If you don't have good health, you are probably going to be a miserable person. If you don't have good health, then nothing else is good in life. You don't get to enjoy the sunshine. You don't get to enjoy the rain. You don't get to enjoy the sun. You don't get to enjoy your kids. You don't get to enjoy anything because you're constantly focused on the illness, on the problem, on the pain, on the suffering that you have in your body. And I believe that many people cause their own misery, cause their own illness by the things that they allow themselves to do in this life. So tonight I want to talk to you a little bit about some of the things that we can do to improve our health and to feel better about ourselves. Number one, I believe that there is a formula for disease. And if you follow this formula, you are definitely going to get sick. And this formula goes something like this. Toxic people plus toxic environment plus toxic situations equals stress, equals sickness. And that equals something that God did not intend for you. If you are living in a relationship with somebody who is a toxic person, if you're living with somebody who is always angry, if you're living with somebody who is abusing you, who is mistreating you, who is not allowing you to be happy, that situation is going to cause all kinds of stress in your life, and it is going to lead your physical body into an actual sickness, into an actual disease. So toxic people, they can cause disease in our own body. Toxic situations, toxic environment. Some people live in a terrible environment that they have created themselves. They're hoarding. They have so much junk in their house, in their car. Obviously, they can't be healthy. Something is wrong there. Some people live in a very toxic work environment where they are working too much, they are overstressed, they are not appreciated by their boss, they are not appreciated by their company. There is always all kinds of demands on them and their time, so they're neglecting their family, they're neglecting their personal life, they're neglecting their church, they're neglecting their God. This is all causing stress, and they are sick. So if you're living in any kind of a toxic environment, you are going to have a major problem. I remember years ago when I was a young man, I attended a church, and there was a couple there, and the husband was extremely overbearing, demanding, aggressive, and very abusive person. He would come to church, and he was always dressed nice in a suit and tie, and he was always the first one to kneel down to pray, and he had this appearance of holiness. He had this appearance of somebody who was a good Christian. He pretended to be a good Christian, and we all knew this because at home he was a terrible man. He was somebody who would abuse his wife. He was somebody who would physically beat her. He was somebody who was just mean to his children. He was a terrorist in his own house. If you're living in that kind of a situation, this is going to cause stress, psychological, mental, physical, and you are actually going to get sick. If you're living in a situation where somebody doesn't appreciate you, where somebody doesn't care about you, where somebody doesn't love you, they're actually going to the other extreme, and they are physically abusing you and tormenting you and yelling and screaming at you, you are going to get sick and you're going to die. In this particular case, this went on for many, many years, but at one point, that's exactly what happened. His poor wife started getting sick, and nobody really knew what was wrong with her. She went from one doctor to another. They couldn't figure out what was going on with her, but she was just getting sicker and sicker. And one day, maybe she was not even 60 years old, maybe she was 58, 59 years old, she passed away. And the man who abused her, he continued living on for many, many, many more years. You know, I believe that this is a kind of a situation where a person is actually living in the house with a terrorist, somebody who is terrorizing you. They're terrorizing you day and night. How many kids out there are living in a home where the father is an absolute maniac? He's yelling and screaming and abusive. I was talking to a pastor friend of mine, and he told me a story of a pastor who went to meetings 37 nights in a row. And his little girl, 10, 11 years old, would ask him, "Daddy, can we play tonight? Can you spend some time with me tonight?" And every night his answer was, "I'm busy. I got to go to a meeting." 37 nights in a row, he went to a meeting, neglected his child. 38th night, the little girl attempted a suicide. If you're living in a situation where somebody just doesn't care about you, you are going to get sick and you are going to die. That's just the law of health. I had another friend who was a man in the ministry who had an extremely cruel and unloving and uncaring wife. If you ever seen a miserable man, this was the man. His wife couldn't care one bit about this man. And eventually, this began taking toll on him, and he started getting sicker and sicker and sicker. Nobody knew what was wrong with him. And one day, you know, a few weeks before he was going to die, he was already in a wheelchair, couldn't do much for himself. And even up at that point, his wife was cruel and mean to him. And he passed away, and he died, my friend. He did die. But his wife, the terrorist, she continued to live on, and she's still living. If you are living in a toxic situation, if you're living with toxic people, you are going to get sick and die. The only solution that there is, and I'm not telling you this as a pastor, as somebody who has counseled literally thousands of people over my 25 years in ministry. If you are living in a toxic relationship, the only solution you have, get away. Walk away. And I know some people are going to say to me, "Pastor, you can't say that because the Bible says that the only way you can divorce your wife or your husband is if they are committing an adultery, if they are cheating." Well, you know what? The Bible also says that the man should love his wife like his own flesh. And the Bible also says that the woman should love her husband like her own flesh. And I personally believe that if that's not the case, if instead of love you're receiving abuse, I believe that that's just as ugly and as bad as an adultery, as somebody cheating on you. So, my advice to each and every one of you who is going through this is, if you want to survive, if you want to live, if you want to regain your health, walk away. Walk away. Go live with your cousin. Go live with your sister. Go live with your parents. Get away. Things are not going to change. That abusive person is not going to change. They rarely do. Proverbs 25:24 says, it is better to live on a corner of the roof than share a house with a quarrelsome wife. It is better to live on a corner of a roof. Can you imagine sitting on a corner of a roof all day long? Rain and shine and snow. You can't move, you can't go anywhere. And the Bible says it is better to live on a corner of a roof than to live in a relationship with somebody who is abusing you. With somebody with whom you're constantly fighting and you got no peace. So, if you want to improve your health, get rid of toxic people in your life. If you want to regain your health, get out of the toxic situations in your life. If you want to regain your health, clean up your environment, because that's also bringing stress and toxicity into your life, and the result of that is going to be the illness and the disease, and in the end, you're going to suffer and die. Do yourself a favor. Walk away from those situations. There is another formula for disease, for getting sick, that I want to share with you, and that has to do with what you are putting into your body. What are you putting into your body? Are you putting into your body junk food? If you're putting into your body junk food, alcohol, pop, cigarettes, drugs, then all of that equals illness. All of that equals misery. Then the result in the end is going to be that you're going to get sick either with heart disease or diabetes or one of the other diseases, lung diseases, and you are going to spend the last couple of years of your life suffering and in pain and receiving all kinds of medical treatments, and in the end, you are going to die. So, if you are sick, maybe the reason is because of what you're putting into your body. How are you taking care of your body? Years ago, I went to a hospital to visit my dad who was dying from diabetes. And this was in the old country. This was about 10 years ago. And I walked into his room and there were 6 patients in that room. And there was one man there who was suffering from diabetes. And he told me that he was scheduled for surgery, for amputation, the very next day, because he didn't pay attention to what he was eating. He was eating too many sweets, he was eating too much greasy foods, he was eating junk food, and finally his diabetes got so bad that he lost circulation in his legs, and one of his legs was going to be amputated the next day. Well, as we were sitting there, and as I was visiting with my dad, this man's wife walked into the room. And she had a plate in her hands. It was covered. And she took it to his bed, and he opened it, and we all could smell fried chicken. He was not supposed to eat it. His doctor told him not to eat it. His kids begged him not to eat it. You know what this man did? In his bed, he took that chicken, put it in his bed, and then put the blanket over his head. And that's how he ate that chicken, because he didn't want his doctor to walk in and see him eating it. He didn't want his kids to walk in and see him eating it. He had his wife make him fried chicken the night before he was going to have his leg amputated. It is so sad when a person completely loses control of what they are doing to their body. And I don't know how this man ended his life. I suppose that he died a few months later because he simply didn't have the willpower to take care of his body. Look, the Bible is very clear. In Genesis chapter 1, when God created Adam and Eve, this is what it says in verse 29. Then God said, I give you every seed-bearing plant on the face of the whole earth, and every tree that has fruit with seed in it, they will be yours for food. When God created human beings, He gave them fruits and vegetables to eat. And I realize that many out there, myself included, I'm not 100% vegetarian. But originally, when God created us, He said, these are the things that you should eat. Fruits and vegetables. And today, if you eat that way, you are going to live longer than anybody else. You are going to have less disease than anybody else. After Adam and Eve sinned and death came into their life and sickness, in Leviticus 11, God allowed them to eat meat. But you know what He did? He clearly told them which meats they could eat and which meat they couldn't eat. God clearly told them in the Old Testament that these are the clean animals and these are the unclean animals. And He said, don't eat these unclean animals. You know what? I get it. Most Christians today don't pay attention to that. They say, you know what? There's the Old Testament. Who cares? We are living in the New Covenant. You can eat whatever you want to eat. Fine. You can go ahead with that argument. But I want to tell you something. God gave that advice for a reason. He didn't do it just because He wanted to make somebody's life miserable. He gave it for a reason. He is your Creator. He made your body. He knows what you should put in there and what you should not. When you buy a car, you get a manual. And in that manual, it tells you exactly what kind of oil to put in your car. It tells you exactly what kind of gasoline to use in that car. God knows what is best for you. I am not going to stand here and preach to you and tell you you all need to be vegetarian and you all need to eat only the clean foods. But I will tell you something. Think about it. Go back to the Bible and look at the foods that God gave us to eat. Go back to the Bible to Genesis 1 and go to Leviticus 11 and check out what it is that God had to say about our diet. If you take care of your body, you're going to be healthier. If you don't, you're going to get sick and you're going to die. And you're going to die a miserable death. That's a fact of life. I'm not saying this because I want to just gross you out or scare you into doing something. No, that's not my motivation. My motivation here is, you know what? Let's think about this and let's do what's right. Formula for disease, number 3. There is another formula for disease. What you put into your mind. Some people, the only thing that they are putting into their mind all the time is violence and anger. Some people are spending 6, 7, 8 hours a day watching violent movies. Some people are sitting in front of TV all the time, listening to all the news around the world, and they are getting angrier and angrier about the politics, and they're getting angrier about all of these issues that are out there. Illegal immigrants and Democrats and Republicans and elections and Obama and Romney and all of this stuff. You can't solve all of these problems. You can't carry that around. If you get involved into all of this violence, and if you allow the anger to saturate your mind and your body, let me tell you something. You are going to get sick. It is going to cause stress. It is going to cause disease, in your body. If you want to live a healthy life, be careful about what goes into your mind. Be careful. If you're going to watch movies, watch something that's funny so you can laugh about it. There is a story about the man, and I read this when I was a young man many years ago. And the story goes something like this. A man got sick and a doctor told him that he was going to die. I don't have a reference for this story, but it's a good story. I want to share it with you. So the doctor told him, you're going to die. You only have 3 months to live. And the story goes on that this man asked their friends to bring him a little TV into his hospital room and to bring in all kinds of wholesome comedies and fun things for him to watch. And he watched and he laughed. And he watched and he laughed some more. And he watched and he just laughed and had fun with what he was seeing. And it goes on to say that he walked out healthy out of that hospital. You know what? If you change your attitude from sadness and from violence and from anger into an attitude of happiness and joy, you are going to be healthier. You are going to feel better. You are going to have a better quality of life. Formula for disease number 4. How you maintain your body. And so many people in this country do not maintain their body. They don't do anything to keep their body in good shape. They are not exercising. They don't have any rest time. They don't have any alone time. If you're not exercising, if you don't have rest time, and if you don't have alone time with God, you are going to get sick, and it's going to affect everything about you. Exercise is the single most important thing that you can do to keep in good health. And how hard it is to get out of the house, turn off the TV, and go for 45 minutes of walking. How hard is that? Let me tell you something. You do not need fancy exercise machines. You do not need expensive videotapes. You do not need expensive pieces of machinery lying under your bed. You don't need that. All you need to do is get up, lock your door, go out, walk for 45 minutes. Next week, walk for an hour. That's all you need. Do a few push-ups, do a few sit-ups, get your health, get your body back into shape. If you watch what you eat, if you don't eat too late, after 7 o'clock at night, and if you exercise even a little bit, you're going to lose weight, you're going to be healthier, and you're going to feel 10 times better than you are feeling right now. What about rest? How many of you are getting rest? I'm a 7-day Adventist. We believe that Saturday is the 7th day of the week. We believe that, and we call it Sabbath. So the Sabbath, or the Saturday, is a day of rest. No working, no washing, no cleaning, no shopping, no movies, no running around taking care of chores. No. Go to church in the morning, go to the woods or the mountains or the ocean or the park in the evening, in the afternoon. Spend time with your kids, spend time with your family. Prepare your food on Friday so you don't have to cook, you don't have to wash, you don't have to run around in restaurants. You can just spend time with God and with your family. How many of you are getting that kind of rest every week? How many? I don't care. Are you doing it on Sunday? Which day of the week are you taking off to just rest and to just enjoy your relationship with God and your relationship with your family? Let me ask you about this last one item that I want to mention. How many of you out there are getting time alone with God? You can't function if you're constantly surrounded with people. You can't function if you're constantly working and running around, and if you never, ever have any alone time. You're going to go nuts. You're going to get sick. The way to keep your health also is to take every day a little bit of time for yourself. downtime, alone time, time when you are able to turn off all of the voices that are constantly bombarding your head. This is a little time just for yourself and the Lord, when you can just sit down on a park bench, you can just say a few words of prayer, and you can just relax, and you can just allow all of the stress and all of the anger and all of the pressure to come out. And when you spend a little time talking to your Creator. What a wonderful opportunity you have to talk to the one who actually made you. Imagine if we all had the ability to pick up the phone and call the engineer that built our car and ask him, hey, you know what? I couldn't start my car this morning. What do you think? Wouldn't that be wonderful? All of your mechanical problems would be solved if you had the ability to pick up that phone and talk to that engineer. You can take time alone every day and talk to your Creator. Let Him know about your problems, about your issues, about your stresses, and invite Him to come into your life and renew you and fix you and rejuvenate you and give you the strength to deal with all the nonsense that so many of us are dealing with on a daily basis. I honestly hope that these messages are helping you. If you would like a free CD or a DVD of this message, call the number on the screen. We are going to send it to you. If you need a prayer, call the number on the screen. You can call tonight, or you can call anytime during the week, and one of us will try and answer and talk to you and pray for you. If you want to see more of my sermons, they are posted on YouTube. All you have to do is search under Gordon Anic. If you search under that name, you're going to come up. We probably have 70 plus sermons and messages on the YouTube, and you can watch them, and you can invite also your friends to watch them, and we would appreciate that. And also, at the end of this service, I want to say, if this is a blessing to you, and you want to continue to see us on air, you can also help us financially, and the instructions are right there on the screen. Thank you for watching. God bless you, and I hope you enjoy better health in the days ahead.